Share screen. Boom. Current slide. Navigate. Tama. Okay. Okay, 1, 2, 3, go. Good afternoon, class. Today I'll be presenting to you minor losses, head losses in pipelines. So from the previous lecture, you have discussed already major losses. So based on your energy loss, and frictional loss. So today we will talk about minor losses. Essentially, these are your contractions or your expansions for your pipelines. Application of these cases are sa mga tubo, di ba? Necessarily, wala ka namang isang tubo na 10 kilometro ang haba. So each connections will have, or each bawat tubo kinakailangan ng connector, tama? Let's say 6-meter pipe. You are required to have a connector in order for them to be connected. And for that connector to happen, energy losses is included. Energy losses are included. So the earliest engineers who studied hydraulics have provided practical values, practical constants in order for us to assess these estimates regarding minor losses. So am I clear, class? Please type 1 if I am clear. Please type 1. Okay, thank you. So, as I said earlier, minor losses we will talk about, or these are additional losses due to the entries and exits, connections of valves, fittings. Oh, that's the term. No? In order for you to connect one pipe to another, you are required to have a fitting. And valves are traditionally referred as minor loss. So this is from your formula, our initial formula, right? Where is the annotate? Okay. So K V squared over 2G from our Bernoulli equation, Bernoulli function. All right. Okay. Next. It is due to the change of the velocity of the flowing fluid in the magnitude or direction, turbulence within bulk flow as it moves through the through end fitting. So in this case, we have a flow pattern to a specific valve, wherein our fluid flows from left to right, okay? And there are series of frictional losses inside the valve, okay? Thus, meron tinatawag itong energy losses. That's why we're calling it minor losses. Okay? Next. So this occurs because of the following or the types of minor losses. The valves, T's. Ano yung mga T's? Ito, ganyan, di ba? T-connectors ng mga pipes. So you have a 3 branch. One to the right, one to the left, one to the right, and one downwards. Okay? So meron ding pwede ring cross, di ba? Pwede ring cross. Reducers, valves, and other opportune nuances. So minor compared to friction losses in long pipelines and can be dominant cause of head loss in shorter pipelines. So in case of shorter pipelines, no, did you know, class, that approximately yung natatanggap natin in our everyday water usage from Manila Water, from Maynilad, those are approximately 30% na lang. Okay? Kasi 70% ang na-loss dito sa mga losses na to. Whether major or minor losses. Merong leakages, sobrang dami ng mga fittings, networks, ano pa? May tinamaan na tubo kasi nag-construction sa kalsada. Tama ba? So those are ideas kung bakit malaki yung nasasayang na tubig. Okay? Malaki yung nasasayang na tubig. With a common form of the following, again, K V squared over 2G. So big sample, no? Yung mga itsura. Ito yung mga large scale fittings sa mga valves. Okay. First type, losses due to contraction. So, syempre, one example of this is, or let's define first, a sudden contraction in pipe usually causes a marked drop in pressure in the pipe due to both the increase in velocity and the loss of energy to turbulence. What do we mean by this? There is a sudden contraction that happened from the term itself. In this case, contraction ang yung nangyari, di ba lumiliit? Am I right? Please type gets if gets. Please type gets if gets in the chat box. Okay, thank you. So, in this case, we have here a larger cross-sectional area than in this one, a lower cross-sectional area. Now, what is an implication of this? Ito yung mga ginagawa natin nung bata tayo sa gripo or sa mga hose. Di ba nagdidilig ka ng halaman, pinapalit mo yung butas? So, essentially, pag lumiit yung butas, bumibilis yung tubig. Pero, hinaharang ng kamay mo. Hinaharang ng kamay mo yung force ng tubig, thus, it is an increased energy. Okay? Meron lang siya increased velocity, pero decreased energy siya. Tama ba? Kasi merong blocking na nagaganap. So, how do you value it? You have your constant of contraction, Kc. Okay? So, very basic. Next. Okay, ito, as I said earlier, there are already values predetermined. So, in hydraulics laboratory, pwede mo siyang gamitin, okay? You can use this type depending on the value of the diameters or the cross-sectional area of each one, of each pipe. Whether this one from area 1 or this two from area 2. So, gagamitin lang natin yung mga value nito depending on the ratios of the diameter. Okay? So, given na, no? No need to memorize these values, class. These are already predetermined. Okay? Now, how about head losses due to sudden contraction? So, as I said earlier, decreasing. Okay? Decreasing values. And in this case, 0.5 v squared over 2g. Okay? This is what's this? What's the value of this 0.5? Saan nanggaling to? So, approximate constant. Okay? Approximate constant. Unless given otherwise, we can assume a 0.5 value. Okay? Depending on the velocity. Ayan si Harold. Late. Depending on the velocity of the flow. Okay? Nasaan ka, Harold? Sa labas ka? Okay. Here all, boom. Okay, next. Head losses due to pipe contraction may be greatly reduced by introducing gradual pipe transition known as confusor. So you can add in between in order for us to minimize the losses. So in this case, you are adding a constant value. Ano nangyayari dito? Parang, kasi in reality, yung head losses na yan, yung head losses natin, class, negative yan, di ba? So yung confusor natin, this is on positive value in order to counteract the losses. Okay? In this case, yung confusor na tinatawag. Confusor. Hindi Confucius, confusor. Okay? Next. From contraction to gradual contraction, ano yung nangyari? Yan. So, nagkaroon ka ng difference in values, okay? Difference in values. So, kanina, fix lang tayo we are fixed with V squared only, right? But in this case, kapag meron ka ng nozzle, meron kang introductory velocity na i-consider, which is V1. Okay, initial velocity. Next. Now, how about enlargement? So, binaliktad lang, okay? Kanina, papaliit or getting smaller. Di ba? Ngayon, papalaki tayo. So, you have a smaller area 1 and now you have a larger area 2. So, binaliktad lang yung formula. V1 minus V squared over 2D. Okay? Head losses due to pipe enlargement may be greatly reduced by introducing a gradual pipe transition known as, ano naman yung tawag? Kanina, confusor. Ngayon, diffusor. Okay? And also, the variables or the values of the constants are already available. Okay? Already. In this case, it's called, kanina KC, di ba? Now, KE, coefficient of expansion. Okay? Take note of that. Take note of that, Harold. Okay? Next. In this case, you have your energy grade line and hydraulic grade line. No? So, ano nga ulit pinagkaiba nila? Energy grade line with the function of velocity. Okay? And the HGL with the function of pressure plus the initial head. Okay? Nagdagan mo ng velocity, it will be an energy grade line. With gradual expansion, you are, ano nangyayari? Tumataas yung value ni HGL, okay? Yung hydraulic grade line. So essentially, your static energy increases, okay? Your static energy increases, decreasing the velocity. Kasi nagmimit eh. Nagmimit sila. Papa-equal, di ba? Lumalapit si hydraulic grade line kay energy grade line. Okay? Ibig sabihin, nagkakalapit yung values nila. Thus, it avoids energy losses, okay, from the gradual expansion. Note that the drop in energy line is much larger than in the case of a contraction. Okay? So, mas malaki yung drop sa in the case in the contraction. Okay? Smaller head loss than in the case of an abrupt expansion. Now, how about sudden enlargement? So, kanina, gradual. Paano pag biglaan na? Almost same formula. Where KL is 1 minus the different, or the, what you call this? A1 divided by A2, 1 minus A1 divided by A2, and getting it square. So, just take note, class, no? Kung may state naman sa problem usually. If it's a sudden enlargement, sudden expansion, sudden contraction, or meron ka bang diffusor, meron ka bang, ano yung isa? Confusor. Okay? So, binibigay naman. Okay. Formula? Almost the same also. So, pare-pares lang, ano? Predetermined na, alam mo na yung values, alam mo na yung constants from the formulas. Okay? Now, ano itong Gibson test? Okay, Gibson test actually is an experiment, no? In order for you to perform, ano yung magiging output ng fluid? Okay? A general test in order for you to know, okay, the losses due to the pipe entrances. So, sabi nga natin, because of the entrances, the connectors, or mga, ano to, fittings ng valves, di ba? Imagine nyo to, class. Imagine this for a moment. Hindi ba kayo nagtataka bakit yung gripo, ang, ano niya, ang cross-section area niya, bilog? Bakit hindi square, Nicole? Bakit hindi square, Harold? Bakit bilog? Bakit hindi triangle? Sige, type niyo yung sagot niyo kung meron kayong idea. Huwag ka mag-annotate, i-type mo yung sagot mo. Talaga to si Harold, do. Okay. Kasi, mataas yung losses, okay? Mataas yung losses, okay? Oh. Mas onti yung, yes, tama. Okay, isang bagsak para kay Nicole. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Okay? Mas mataas yung friction. Di ba? Mas mataas yung friction kapag rectangle yan, Brad. Guys, tama ba? 4 yung corners mo eh. Tama? Pero pag circular siya, smooth, di ba? Smooth, wala kang edges. Okay? Very good, very good. So the general formula for head loss at the entrance of a pipe is also expressed in terms of velocity, head of the pipe. So, same formula lang, ano? The coefficient lang, nagbago lang din. So, Kc kanina, tapos may Ke ka. Now, in this case, Kn or K of entrance. Okay? So, nagbavalue siya. Nagbavary yung value niya. Depending sa cross-sectional area. So, tingnan nyo to, no? Dito pa lang nagka-idea na tayo class diagram. Dito sa KE4, KE, ang baba, 0.04 yung loss. Bakit? Kasi tingnan niyo yung tingnan niyo tong opening. May curvature, 'di ba? So smooth yung pagpasok niya. 'Di ba yung sinasabi ni Nicole kanina? Lessen yung friction. Okay? Nagets ba 'yon? Please type gets if gets. So gusto natin mga gripo mo circular. Smooth. Okay, thank you. Mahilig yan siya, mahilig si Harold sa smooth eh. Smooth operator yan eh. Okay? In this case, we have bell mouth or square edge and re-entrant. So, pabago-bago, no? We have your pinakamataas is the re-entrant. So, gusto natin bell mouth or circular, yung may mga curves. So, ang baba ng friction niya. Coefficient factor niya. So, other samples. Sharp edge, no? Mantaas. So, dapat well-rounded. So, another typical values, again from a diagram, no? Of rounding of the lip. So, pinapaikse, depending sa radius over the diameter of the entrance. So, pwede rin pala siya makompute. Okay, just take note of this graph. Alright. So, meron tayong loss at entrance. We have a loss in entrance. How about loss at exit? They're almost the same. V squared over 2G lang din. Okay? In this case, the intervelocity head of the pipe flow is dissipated and the discharge loss is simply V squared over 2G. Do you have any questions so far? Please type question. Kasi malapit na tayong mag-examples eh. Sino may tanong? Sino may tanong? Boys and girls? Wala naman. Please type gets if gets so far. Okay, thank you. Wait lang. Okay. Saan tayo? Share screen. Boom. From current slide. So loss of pipe exits. So meron kang loss at entrance, meron kang loss sa exits. Yan, entering V squared over 2G. So gusto natin smooth ang flow. Okay. Now, how about in bending? Okay, yung mga bends, yung mga fittings, yung mga tees. Di ba yung mga tees? They will also have losses because of the fittings or the bends. So in this case, you have also given a diagram. So for example, this meter bends, no? Same thing. Meron kang mga, in this case, you have curve, you have here straight, no? So mas malaki yung losses kapag edges, di ba? Corners talaga siya. So gusto natin smooth. Okay? Loss of head through valves, pwede ring valves, no? Mga openings, okay? So, ito rin yung diagram nung sa first slide kanina. So, meron din, given na, predetermined. In this case, KV, total value na, no? For fully open values. Okay? So, other constants, no? Again, class, no need to memorize these values. The loss coefficient for elbows, bends, and tees are the following. So, summarize, no? Summarize values. Okay. By the way, class, you may check our Blackboard na upload ko na dun lahat ng database natin. All our lectures, yung mga previous from prelims. Okay, nandun na. So, also the recorded lectures. So, complete table, no? Sa mga fittings. So, ito yung mga T's, no? As we said earlier, we have entrance from the left, exit, and then an option upward for the valve. So, minor losses. Okay. So, we have already discussed this, no? Energy and hydraulic grade line. Just a review. So, unless the local effects are of particular interest, the changes in the EGL and HGL are often shown as abrupt changes. So, palit lang. Maliit lang yung mga differences from the, kasi nga, minor losses. We're dealing with minor losses. Okay, example. In the figure below, or the figure shown, two net cast iron pipes in series. Oh, pipe in series na rin, no? Introductory. D1 is 0.6 meters and D2 is 0.4 meters. So in this case, we have a contraction, okay? A loss in contraction. The level at A is equivalent to 80 meters from the datum, with the discharge of 0.5 cubic meters per second with the temperature of 10 degrees Celsius, giving us a kinematic viscosity of the following. Okay? So, E is given as 0.26 millimeter and Q given na rin. So, let's proceed in solving. Nasa site pala si Harold eh. Nasa site si Harold. Tatrabaho, masipag. Okay. So, solution. First of all, you need to determine the Bernoulli equation. Diba? Energy equation lang to. Okay? From the energy equation, you can derive the head loss. So, that is simply the elevation at B, or the energy at point A is simply equivalent to the energy at point B. O, tingnan natin ha. Isa-isa. Balikan natin para malinaw. So, in this case, the energy at point A, in this case, in this one, or in this A, should be equal to the energy at point B. Alright? So, that will be E1 must be equal to, or EA na lang, no? EA should be equal to EB. Okay? And that should be from the Bernoulli equation. Okay? And simply, the difference of the two will simply be the head loss. In this case, the minor losses. Okay? The minor losses. So, summarizing everything, we have here HF1 plus HF2 because of the friction. Head losses because of the friction. So, major, no? Major to. From yung mga nauna nating lectures. Naalala nyo tong formula na to? Naalala ba tong formula na to, class? Please type kung anong formula to. Nalimutan na Nicole, guys. Darcy-Weisbach, di ba? From the Darcy-Weisbach equation. FL over D, V1 squared over 2G. Okay? Tapos, ano pa? Meron kang head loss because of the entrance. Itong tatlo, minor na to. Di ba? Minor na yan. So, ito na yung mga pinag-aralan natin from the early 20 minutes of the class. Okay? So, summing up everything, given ka na, no? Given na tayo ng velocity 1. Or, in order for you to derive the velocity, given ka ng discharge, just simply divide it by the area. Okay? The area, since we have a circular area, given kasi yung diameter, no? So, you can simply get the velocity. 1.77 meters per second. Same thing with V2. Okay? yung exit velocity. Kasi ito na yung nag-contract. Ito na yung nag-contract, tandaan nyo. And talking about the Reynolds number from the Moody diagram, no? Kailangan to for the Moody diagram. So, the Reynolds number, gawin natin red para malino. Paano yun na-solve? Simply, from the velocity and the diameter. So, meron kang turbulent flow. We have here now, hindi na tayo tumingin sa Moody diagram na shortcut na. Sorry about that. So, next time, check natin sa Moody. So, 0.17 and 0.18. Okay? Thus, giving us, ito, yung mga given na kanina, no? Sa entrance, 0.5, naalala nyo? HC, and for the exit of 1. Okay? Ano yung HC? What is HC? Please type the answer. Ano yung HC? Head loss due to? Minor loss due to? Naglag no? Contraction. Okay? Head loss due to contraction. Kasi di ba lumiit yung pipe natin. Naalala nyo? Balikan natin yung diagram. Boom! Ayan kitang-kito. Di ba? Lumiit, guys. Kung ayaw mo tumingin ng diagram, tingnan mo na lang to. Diameter 1, 0.6 meter. Diameter 2, 0.4 meter. Okay? Gets ba yon? Please type gets if gets. Please type gets if gets. Okay? May tanong ba so far? Before I continue. Wala naman. Okay. Thank you, Nicole. So summing up everything. Simply, akala nakaka-intimidate lang kasi ang haba ng solution, di ba? Si Harold nag-PPM pa. Di ba? Ang haba ng solution nyo, guys. Pero, lahat yan given na. Lahat yan na-identify nyo na. So summing up everything, you get a head loss of 13.36. So in order for you to get the elevation of B, that's simply 80 minus the head loss. So the initial head of A to B. Okay? So that will give us 66.64 meters. Isang bagsak muna. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Okay? May tanong. Any questions? Wala. Okay. Continue. Ay, tapos na pala. Isa lang pala yung problem. So, magbibigay na lang ako ng mga practice problems. Okay? Magbibigay na lang ako ng mga, tsaka yung ga-upload ako sa YouTube ng mga iba pang problem. Okay? Any questions so far? Please type question kung may tanong. Wala. Okay, wala. Okay, isang bagsak. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Okay, let's discuss now laboratory. Okay, let's discuss now laboratory. Stop ko na yung recording kasi yun lang naman yung i-check ni Dean De Alban. Okay. Hindi, sige, na lang. Kunyari, na tayo. Ending na tayo, Okay, that will be it. That will be it, class. Thank you all. God bless you all. Isang bagsak muna before we end. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Okay. Bye-bye. Happy merienda.